Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Abby Lewis, the Executive Director of Bethany Arts Community, and you are joining us this evening in our fall season of residency programs. We're here in Ossining, New York with E-B Martinez, or Martinez E-B, and all of the residents of the current program. We are, excuse me, apologies. I'm going to start that over again. So, the Fall Multidisciplinary Residency brings artists from around the world in all disciplines at various stages in their careers as a place to come and work on works in progress and new work. They spend their time together here. They eat 3 meals together. They eat dinner together every evening. And as part of their program here, everyone does one public program. And tonight we have E-B. This program is made possible by the generous support of the National Endowment for the Arts, New York State Council on the Arts, Arts Westchester, and the generous support of many individuals like viewers like you. Tonight we are going to hear a work in progress called It Follows by Martinez E-B. And, well, we are really not well prepared. So I'm going to apologize to everybody. My cut and paste skills are not good enough. And so, E-B, can you come on up here? We're going to do it this way. So before I turn it over to you, I just have to say that E-B is one of these people that I've gotten to know a little bit more over coffee conversations in the morning. Yes. When I come in the morning, E-B is one of the people who's usually downstairs. Late, having his breakfast. And so we've had some really interesting conversations really about family and names and the impact of names on who we are and other people's expectation of us. And I personally can't wait to hear what you have to say this evening and hear the beginning of a story. And I am going to let you do a little bit better job of introducing yourself. Thank you.
All right. So we're at Lincoln West High School, west side of Cleveland. We're in line. I don't even remember what we're in line doing. But me and the fellas, we just talking about the shit. All riding each other, we just talking. And so my friend Dwight, who was like my best friend until we both fell in love with the same girl, he's in front of me. And I don't know what brought this up, but he said, well, you know, Martinez is black and Mexican, so, you know, he can't do that. Behind us in line, at that announcement, we hear someone go, ugh. Our attention go that way. The attention at the end of the line comes inside. And there's a boy. And he said, ugh. Now Martinez may be black and Mexican. Hello, my name is Martinez. My proper name is Martinez Edwan Brian Garcias. I am the firstborn son of the firstborn son, Martinez Garcias, who was the firstborn son of the firstborn son, Martinez Garcias. And let's put a big old asterisk next to that last one. But I wasn't always Martinez, or I didn't know I was always Martinez. So, first day of kindergarten, I'm pumped, I'm excited. I'm going to school just like my big sisters. It's like, oh yes. I got my red Mario lunchbox, and I got this shiny ass apple. It was so important. I was raised up on PBS, Sesame Street, letter people. You bring your teacher a red apple. I made sure my mom went and bought apples, and I put it on the counter. I couldn't wait. Ran downstairs, apple, good. Got my lunchbox, got my apple. We meet the teacher. Go into the classroom, and she has us sit down on the mat. Crisscross applesauce, but this is the 80s, so we call it Indian style. Apparently that was the proper term back in the 80s. So we're sitting there, and the teacher is naming off everyone. And then you go up to the board, and you grab some type of cutout thing with your name on it. So she's naming. I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I'm gonna get my turn. She's naming. Okay. Then she run out of names. And then she asked, like, did I not call someone's name? So I'm not a shy kid. So I ain't even raised my hand. I just went up there like, hey, you ain't called me. She was like, well, what's your name? I'm like, Marty. Like, of course, I'm Marty. You know my name. She's like, oh, you must be Martinez. Martinez. Like, what? I didn't know what that was. I'm like, okay. So you're Martinez Garcias. I'm like, all right, well, go get your thing off your board. I'm looking at it. And Marty's looking. He's like, okay, my name's Martinez, apparently. So Dwight looks back. He like, Martinez gonna kick your ass, man. I turn toward the boy. And at this moment, he already realizes that this is bad. The story at this point will get a little teenage barbaric. But he realizes this moment is bad. So I'm like, the fuck you say? The boy, realizing he don't want no part to this, he's like, no, I'm sorry, man. I have no problem with black people. No problem with black people at all. Now at this point, the black people in line kind of ease up a little bit because everyone looking. The boy already done spoke out. I have no issue with black people. No issue with black people. But me, he said, ugh, to black and Mexican. Look, two things here. The boy now has moonwalked away from his black insult. When I was in elementary school, because now I'm Martinez Garcias, so I'm not Marty. In elementary school, I was put into a lot of Latino, Hispanic classes. Sometimes it was ESL classes, to where I know the problem, but now we gotta talk Spanish for 20 more minutes before we can get through with this. But there, I learned I learned about real football, which is, I call it soccer, dance, parties, different food. I got to hear my friends after summer break come back and tell me about their grandma and grandpa on these islands in different places, different countries, and it was awesome. Their mothers would feed me. They would always scoff at the fact that I don't know Spanish. And they'll ask me, did your mother teach you Spanish? And I'll say, no. And they're like, because I wasn't Spanish. So for years, I went through telling people the truth. I'm black. I'm black. I'm black. I'm Martinez, but I'm black. And eventually, I get to the end of high school, and I was told that I had a few credits left, and I won't be able to graduate on time. I have to come back in the fall. I hated high school. Not for social reasons, I just didn't like high school. So I turned 18 on April 16th. I got my GED May 8th. I was like, I don't want to do this. Went to the factory, went to work. So here I am, Black Martinez, with my GED at a factory. I stop at a library, and I think I'm picking up DVDs, but I should be getting books. And there's a gentleman at the library on his soapbox, and he is going in. I mean, he is talking about young black men, he is just going in. You don't know shit because you don't read shit. You ain't got no future because you don't respect the history. I was insulted, I had nothing to say. What is my defense? One, I haven't read shit, so you was right. I don't know shit, so you was right. But now I'm in the insult now as a black young man from a black older man, and I have nothing in my defense. But I've been identifying as black, more so than others had to, because I was put in circles to where I'm like, no, I gotta prove I'm black. But this is not the type of black I wanna be. I don't wanna be the type of black to where now I'm getting dogged out by my elders because I ain't doing shit. So I went to the Addison Branch Library on Superior on the east side. I grabbed about 6 books. I was like, I could read 6. One was Revolutionary Suicide, Huey P. Newton. One was a Cornel West book, and the other one was something with Ralph Abernathy, who was the homeboy of Martin. Read all 6 of those books. The texts in those books point to other books. So I gotta go with W.E.B. Du Bois. Now I gotta go visit Marcus Garvey. I gotta go visit Frantz Fanon. And I keep it moving. Next, I gotta take some classes at community college. Do it. Win a scholarship, go to Cleveland Institute of Art. Kill it. Win a scholarship to go travel, make art. Kill it. Go to grad school, kill it. Never been more black in my life. I'm walking down the street so black, like I'm just floating in blackness, just doing my thing. So proud, so excited. Like that thing I was looking for, I fought for, I did that shit. Damn, I'm black. And look at these degrees on my wall. Pumped, excited. So the boys say, no, I ain't got no problem with black people. No. But you still said, ugh. So at this moment, I want to take that and I want to fucking make him eat it. Publicly, just as he said, publicly. Again, teenage barbaric, but that's what I want to do. So I say, so you got a problem with Mexicans? He moonwalked out of the black man. Now, I guess now he has to like electric slide about the Mexican. He's like, I gotta get out this situation. It's not good. So he say, no, it's just the movies and stuff. No, I don't have a problem with Mexicans. It's just the movies and stuff. I'm assuming he's talking about like Desperado or Quentin Tarantino movies or some shit like that. Again, I'm not Mexican, but I've never built the wall up as difference because I rode with a lot of Latino and Hispanic students. I'm fine with it. But here I am about to fight as a Mexican. Like, no, it's just the movies. Like, no. So, after undergrad, I leave out of undergrad. I did pretty good. I am now, I was an art director for a sustainability group. I was a visual director of a mayoral campaign, and we won. And I'm kind of bumping shoulders with artists and people in the political scene. It's like kind of nice. I get invited to one of my instructors' house for a party. I get in there, I'm ready to party. Like, oh, this is cool. And plus, it's nice respect. Your instructor be like, hey, come to my crib for a party. That's a big deal. It's like, all right, cool. I graduated, let's do this. I'm about one beer in, and then I scan the room. I'm like, damn, this party real Latinx. Why am I here? Like, I see that this party is you intentionally selected the who's who of Latino and Hispanic people are here at this party. So why the fuck am I at this party? Why am I here unless you think? So why am I here? So in the 1920s in the United States, somebody had a baby. That baby was my grandpa. He grew up as Martin Harley. He grew up as Martin Harley. He was black and German. Black and Pennsylvania Dutch for here, but Pennsylvania Dutch, which is German. So he had very light skin. He had the type of hair that they'll put on a magazine or some shit, you know. He grew up, he joined the Navy, he traveled a little bit. And so he learned that being black ain't the thing. And he don't want no parts of it. Grandpa stations himself in California, changes his name. So he is either Martin Garcias or Martinez Garcias. The true story, I don't know. But I do know that he misspelled the name. It's Garcia. Grandpa was running so fast from being black, he done misspelled and gathered an S on the way of just, getting the fuck out of there. So go type in Garcias in your Word doc, it'll come up red, I promise you. And so, I'm at the party and I'm wondering, why am I here? I was like, damn, I know why I'm here. Grandpa ran away, that's why I'm fucking here. I sit with a guy named Victor, and I'm still on that one beer. And Victor talking to me. Victor's an executive director of a youth program on the west side of Cleveland, and its goal is to get Latino and Hispanic students through high school. That's the goal, simple, in a box. That's what it is. I'm talking to Victor about a curriculum that I created. It's an artist-driven, project-based curriculum to where you can deal with your issues, you can look at social issues, you figure out mediums and different disciplines to work in, and then perhaps you can go out and change something in social issue. Because I'm big on not making a picture about an issue, I'm big on no. I'll make a picture, and then with making that picture, we're gonna find the councilman. And then once we get the councilman, I'm gonna have a show. And we're gonna get the mayor there, and then we're gonna talk about some shit. And if I have to rally, we'll rally. So my art has to move through some type of real life action. So Victor was like, hey, we got an opening for a program coordinator. You know, you can have a part in the youth leadership program. And I'm like, Victor, man, I just gotta tell you, I'm black. I know that they say on the thing, they don't discriminate. In the nonprofit world, a lot of times, if you're working with black kids, you try to hire black kids. You're working with a specific type of Puerto Rican kid, they often hire a Puerto Rican kid. That's just how it goes. I'm like, Victor, man, I'm black. So Victor looked at me, and Victor was like, eh. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I know, like, Victor, I'm black. What does that even mean? He was like, oh, just come on, we'll see. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? So I go for the interview, get the job, and we are busting ass. So used to be the goal was just get out of high school. No, we created a pipeline to colleges and internships. We were just shooting kids off. Like, what the fuck you want to do? You don't know? Community. You know what you want to do? 4 years. Like, we just sending, like, high school is not the end. We just sending kids off. We kicking ass. From there, I moved to the Hispanic Alliance because they got to me through Victor. And their goal was to find funding for their programs so that the kids can have more art and culture. The more art you create, the more you're able to express yourself. Some students are still first generation and have a hard time expressing themselves in the United States. So hell, we're gonna get down to that. That's what artists do. We express. From there, I became an honorary member of OLA. OLA is an immigration reform group. Now, OLA, theirs is a bit different. The battle with OLA, you have undocumented peoples in the United States, and we had a big, huge ICE problem on the outside of Cleveland. Because outside of Cleveland, there are no cameras. There are no windows. Inside of Cleveland, you barely might make it through. Outside of Cleveland, shit's hard. And primarily, ICE was mistreating Mexicans, strongly. Mexicans. So York says, no, I have no problems with Mexicans. I say, you sure? York at this point is trying his best to get out of this. Both hands go in the pocket, his eyes go away. So he cowers away, almost like a whipped dog, and tucks his tail. He was like, no, I'm just sorry, man, no. And so he goes away with it. He just stands in line, and he's folded and defeated. But no one won. No one won. Because someone taught York some fucked up shit. The bigotry or racist remark that, well, not like we born with it. We're like 15, 16 years old. We don't even make our own decisions. We go home and ask, can we exist? That's not his decision. So someone failed him and then wasn't there to protect him. I am not winning here. The still exists. The thought still exists. And now we're looking at violence, anger, and all this shit I'm carrying with me because my grandpa ran away. So I am battling to be black. I am battling as a Mexican, gonna beat up this kid. I'm not even Mexican, it's not even a thing. And that's not who I wanna be. So after grad school, I'm invited to Ithaca College for art talk. So it's Ithaca and some Cornell students because they share some studios and some art programming. And they had an odd setup to where usually when you're invited to speak, you're somewhere near the podium so you can get to it. Well, they had me like out of the stadium somehow. I mean, that wasn't a stadium, but a big ass room. I'm out of the room somehow. And I have to walk through everyone to get to the stage. That's kind of weird. But the lady's up there talking. Artist named Sarah Sutton. And she's introducing me. And she's talking about, he's an artist, community organizer. He worked in sustainability, climate change. He worked on political campaigns. And she's mentioning all this stuff, an educator. And all this stuff that she named, she's just rifling off. And not one time was there an identifier with it. And at the end of all these things that I've accomplished, purely art-based first, art-driven first, she says, please welcome E-B. And I come in, and I'm used to singing small, but there's a giant E-B on the screen, and I'm walking in. And that E-B represents all of the art efforts and everything that I've done. And I'm young as shit, so it's still going. It represents everything. It's like it reconciled and negotiated a space for my multiple identities. Everything my grandpa ran from was tackled. E-B tackled it. We did it with our art. The lies that my grandpa told without thinking about the consequence of the future is handled. People's expectations of who I'm supposed to be is handled. All within the art, it all was handled. Just the creation of it. And so I'm standing here with the realization that so much has been reconciled with the art itself and the efforts on its own. And a lot of what I'm saying tonight came from a lot of our conversations. Because when I arrived here, I thought I'd be telling a story about my grandpa. And immediately I was hit with, it's your story. So, my name is Martinez Edwan Brian Garcias. You may call me E-B. And thanks, guys. No, thank you.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
That was fantastic. And this month is Family History Month. And I just did a talk on my surname is not my bloodline. And what you just said was so in line and appropriate for this month as I'm teaching Black kids how to reconcile with their past. And when you go back and look, it's painful because you're going to have to run into history of enslavement, running from your name having nothing to do with your blood. So that was just so powerful. I shared it because I'm going to share it again with the kids because they need a way in which to express. So we have them doing their genealogy and then doing an art piece to get that out. You just said everything.
As an object.
Yes. So it's confirmation. So you're that is confirmation.
If I can piggyback off of your comments, for both my sets of my genetics as well. Both my parents, my mom and my dad, both of their families had changed names, and our family's name was made up, completely made up. It was an Ellis Island name.
Same for me.
So it has nothing to do with it's just interesting the parallels, because it's not only a Black story or a Hispanic story, right? It's or an Asian story when people come to this country and they have to assimilate in whatever way or survive in whatever world they're in. So it's a very communal story, even though it's hyper-personal, obviously, through your telling of it. But I think probably everyone can find something to relate to.
I think so.
Yeah, it was a great man.
Can I ask a question? I'm curious, as you're building this story, right, where there's so many pieces in it, right? So part of it was it your grandfather's story, or is it your story? You talked about various points in your life in which this issue came up, where people thought you were Hispanic, and what that meant.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, none of it's that. I mean, that's exactly right. But it's not what you were trying to identify with. You talked about being an art student, a graduate student, right, and going to the Black art students club, or whatever the program was, and people kind of questioning that you were Black because you had his last name.
Yes. That's the first one, yeah. It's one of our morning conversations. So, because in undergrad, I was the only Black fine artist, so I was trying to find clubs to talk about my work. Because in undergrad, I'll put up my work, and the kids don't understand it just because there's a Black guy standing next to it. I don't care what I made. If I put a triangle on the wall, they'd be like, I just think it has 4 sides. Like, no matter what. So I tried to get with, outside of Cleveland, East Cleveland, they had a black group of artists, and they will critique work and discuss things. And I was like, oh shoot, I want to get in on it. And then they had to tell me, like, this is black only. This is black only. I'm like, I've been black my whole damn life. Like, I don't, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting existence.
You know, I'm sorry, but when women marry, at least in the past, they change their names.
Yeah.
And my name is Bonicelli, and people say, you don't look Italian, because I'm really of Danish descent. And I think that younger women now, if they get married at all, keep their own names, and I think that's the way it should be.
My wife changed her name. She thinks it's hilarious that people ask, people say, oh, you don't know Spanish? And she's like, my husband doesn't either. Like, you know, she does it all. She loves it. She's